The CRM Connect application allows us to define how to connect to our Firebird server and where our Firebird server is. By default, we need to specify the Firebird client DLL. The system will try and retrieve where it thinks the DLL is. If that is the incorrect location of your installation, then you can use the folder browser to locate your fbclient.dll. Without this, you cannot connect through to your Firebird server. Then we can specify where our Firebird server is located. If it's located on a remote machine, we can enter the machine name here. If it's local, in other words, you're just using CRM as a single user, then you can leave blank or enter localhost, all one word, as your server name. Connection protocol by default is TCP. Unless you have any reason to change this, you can leave this. And then we need to specify our system user ID. This is the Firebird passwords and user ID setup. By default, when Firebird installs, it installs with a single system user ID, which is sysdba, as shown here, and the password in lowercase is master key. I'll type that in to the user ID so you can see it, and it's master key, all lowercase. You need to have this user ID and password set up so that you can connect to the server initially and create your first and initial CRM databases. This is not a Pastel user ID and password. This is the Firebird passwords. The CRM New DB application allows you to create your CRM database on the Firebird server. Information contained within CRM, such as sales opportunities, tasks, notes, document repositories, are all held within Firebird, not within Pastel. So we need a database to hold this information. Firstly, we need to specify where our database will be located, and this is a physical drive related and relative to this Firebird server. If we are installing locally, then we can just specify the path. If we're installing on a remote machine, then we specify the physical drive, not the map drive. So I'm going to link this through to Pastel 09, and I'm going to save my database in the same directory as my Pastel data so that everything gets backed up. And I'm going to give it my CRM database name. You then need to specify how and where your Pastel data is relative to all the users. This is a global setting and can be made on a user level as well if your map drives are different for each machine. In this case, my Pastel data is local, so I can specify my C drive. If I was on a map drive on a different machine, I can specify the P drive, for example. Okay, ODBC report DSN. The system will attempt to create a default ODBC named PDI CRM Pastel. This is only used for reporting purposes and for extracting data from Pastel on the reports. If this fails to be created, you can still access all your data, you'll just have difficulty running your reports. The system will look to see if you've called the ODBC the same and left it as PDI CRM Pastel. If that's the case, it will try and create an ODBC connection and data source on the server you specify here, which could be local. So for example, I can just enter my local server. If I need a username and password to connect through to this pervasive server, I can specify it here, and then I need to specify the location of my data relative to the server. If you are creating as a client where you're setting up the data on a different server and you wish your ODBC to use a different server, you can specify the pervasive server here. and again the data location will be relative to that server. If you have security issues where you do not allow users to create ODBC DSNs, or you are running pervasive client server, then you will need to create a DSN yourself and name it on each machine with a different name than PDI CRM Pastel, and then the application will not attempt to change the data location of your system. Okay, I am then going to say that this is a new CRM data and I want to transfer all existing customer notes over to CRM. And when I'm happy, I will press create database and the system will go ahead and create my new database. Once finished, I can now use my database, and this is my location, and start CRM.